Hey there, Soulshine. It's Michelle here, and I'm inviting you to wake up and live. And today we're going to talk about our mini programs. These are my 3 $2 bills. Unfortunately, right now, my mini programs aren't doing too well. But I want to tell you what I've been learning about. I've heard about this before, and I just had a refresher course, if you will. As I've been cleaning out my Dropbox, I've been reading some of the stuff, and this is one I read before, but I want to read it again. Cannot remember the name of the lady. Her name is Cynda something. Cynda, I think. And anyway, so she was talking about money programs and what is your money program. And so here are the 5 money programs that she talks about, and kind of a little bit about each one of them. You can figure out where you're at, and then kind of a little bit about each one of them. You can figure out where you're at, and then see if you can make some changes to go up a level if necessary. Okay, so the first one is not enough. There's just not enough money. These are people who seriously just don't have enough money. There's not enough money for everything. And what that can look like is, according to her, is they have no budget, because why bother if there's not enough? I'm not 100% sure that it's always people don't budget. But maybe I'm just lacking some information about the programming, because it seems to me I've been in not enough, and I've always been a budgeter. I've always tried to work with what I had, and I've always one of the other things, I guess, is a not enough person, if they come into a bunch of money, like say they came into $10,000, instead of paying that on bills or investing it in their future, they would splurge, because they've got to splurge because there's never enough. And this might be the only time they have an opportunity to splurge. And so they have to hurry and splurge and, of course, get rid of the money. So this is not enough. The next one is barely enough. And maybe that's where I've been. And because she says barely enough people are people who budget. They're probably going to be very careful when they do get a big fall of money in, and use a lot of that to start creating some freedom. Maybe things like, this is my experience, I think. What I experience most of the time, or have been experiencing for many years, is that I'd get money barely in time to pay things. There'd be enough money to keep us afloat, but not enough money to enjoy life with things that cost other. You can enjoy life without money, just saying. But there was no, if it wasn't necessary, there wasn't money for it. So there's barely enough money to keep us alive. That's kind of the feeling that I've had. I've never really felt like there was not enough. There was always just barely enough. So I guess that's the difference. So barely enough. So not enough. There's just not enough money, period. There is not enough money. And barely enough, they are barely skimming by. They're surviving life, but they're not thriving. The next one, I think this would be so fun. This is the one I want to play with for a while. And that is always enough. So there's always enough money. It might not come until the end, but if they decided they want to go on a trip, then enough money will show up for the trip. So there's always enough money for whatever it is they're looking for. And I think one of the differences between barely enough and all enough, always enough, is that barely enough can only survive. They only have their needs met. Always enough have the ability to do some wants. So if they want to go somewhere, there is always going to be enough money to go where they want to go, but they're not going to be extra money. Okay, so far we've talked about there's not enough, there's barely enough, there's always enough. The next one, the fourth one, is more than enough. And I think this one would be awesome too, but I want to play in always enough before I move into more than enough. But I've noticed that when it comes to time, I'm like, oh, it's time to be in more than enough time. when I've said my time phrases, I don't like saying there's plenty of time. I'm like, no, I want there to be more than enough time. So I can tell that I've moved into a place where it's like plenty is not satisfying. I need to be in more. And so more than enough money, there are people that if a trip comes up, they don't have to wait for the money to come. They've got the money, so they can just do it. If they decide they want to do something, they can just do it because they've got the money for it. There's always money for them, and there's more than enough money. They save, they've got plenty. If somebody's in need, they've got it to share. So it's different. So these are 4 of the different levels of programming. There is one more programming, and this one, hello, whoever's watching. Cheyenne. Cheyenne's watching. Cheyenne fancies herself English, therefore she calls me Mum. Anyway, so the 5th one, it doesn't matter how much money these people have. They can be very broke or they can be very rich, but it's always, there's going to be challenges with it, because this one is there's never enough. Cheyenne says, I can't help it. It's a habit now. So I don't even know why she started it, but she started calling me Mom. So never enough. These people are, it doesn't matter how, if they get to, like, say they get to a point where they're covering all their bills, they're going to find a way for that to not be enough, because there's never enough money. And so they could have millions of dollars, but whatever their needs are going to be above that because there's never enough money. It's all a mindset. So please don't be a never enough person. Ideally, the sweet spots are always enough and more than enough. So wherever you're at, can you up level? Unless you are in more than enough, and good for you, but I can't imagine. Well, I guess if you're watching this, it's because you just think I'm cool. So where are you at? Are you in not enough? Barely enough? Always enough? More than enough? Or never enough? I really do hope that you are either in always enough or more than enough. That's my hope for you, because those are the places where you actually have some peace about money. Of course, the more than enough would be more. Okay, now there's going to be other kind of programmings that are going to affect these. You're going to have programmings about money being evil, money being necessary. Some of these come in with the archetypes. There's many archetypes, and depending on what your archetype is, to how you deal with and value money. But all of these 5 programs play within those archetypes. So it doesn't matter what archetype you have. If you have there's more than enough money combined with your archetype, then you're going to be experiencing the blessings and the gifts of your archetype versus the negative things. And I'm so sorry, I'm not really fluent in the money archetypes, so I can't really tell you more about them. So these are just some thoughts and things to think about. I'm in a hurry because I want to go see my grandbaby. I have finished her little present I was making her. I crocheted a baby blanket, and so I'm excited to take that to her. And so that's it. So how do you upload? How do you up level, I guess is the word I'm looking for. How do you move up a level from, if you are in or not enough, how do you move into barely enough? How do you move into always enough? How do you move into more than enough? How do you let go of never enough? My way, seriously, this is some of the things. I ask Heavenly Father, I pray. I'm like, Heavenly Father, please remove this programming from me. And I was doing this yesterday. I was like, okay, everywhere that I have barely enough programming and never enough programming and not enough programming, if I have any of that kind of programming, please remove it from me. delete that programming and install in me always enough and more than enough. And I experience changes. I believe that it's happening. I kind of imagine that he's like going in and pulling things out of my DNA, almost like taking it out of a computer and then plugging in the right things. Now, the way that can happen is sometimes within a few days, I will have a belief show up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I believed that. And then because I have tools to work with my beliefs, I can hurry and eliminate that and move on. The other thing that happens when I ask for a program, sometimes I receive knowledge straight to my brain. Other times, somebody will say something that will be exactly what I need to say. Or I'll feel prompted to read a book that will be exactly what I need. And it will give me that information. And the way I feel like it is here's the program. It's been downloaded into my energy, but I'm missing a piece, kind of like the command, the run command. I'm missing that little piece that say, okay, now it's time to install and run this program. And as soon as that piece is there, then all of it can just go and in. And so that's what my experience is. And I'm sure that you will be led to your experience. So remember, my beautiful friends, my wonderful friends, to let your soul shine big, bright, light, and beautiful, and that you don't have to stay stuck in silly programs. You can step into the magnificence that you were designed to be. I'll see you guys tomorrow, because tomorrow's Saturday. So I don't do Sundays, and that's why I'm like, what is today? Today is Friday. See you guys tomorrow. Have a great day. Love you guys. Bye.